Many INFJs fall into the boredom trap. They're either being pushed from external forces like your relatives to do things, so that stresses you out internally, or we fall into some kind of daily routine that makes us feel bored out of our mind. But what I've recognized is that there is no external environment, there is no person that's really going to create that excitement for us. It's us who have to get it done. And the most important aspect of it all is that we have to understand that boredom is the key to a fulfilled life. This is not something to run away from. This is not something that we should avoid. We also have to understand that no matter how exciting something sounds, once you're in it, it's not that. A quick example, think of Suits, the TV show. If you look at it, you think, oh, being a lawyer is so exciting. Everybody who's worked with lawyers knows this is boring. This is not how it looks like. And this is not just, lawyers. This is banks, this is accounting, this is even the entertainment industry. If you're in it and you haven't really created that excitement for yourself, you will always find everything boring. Or people are stressing you out in a way that is no fun. So let's talk about how to create that excitement for yourself in your life, how to tap into boredom, know that it's part of the game, and to really remove all the stressful people that are bugging us on a daily basis. Before we get started, I'll remind you, if you haven't done this so far, to download the free poster on the INFJ Epic Life formula. And if you want to take it to the next level, get the INFJ Epic Life audio guide. So the poster and the audio guide are based on the same formula. It is all a circular motion formula that really taps into where your life is right now and helps you to move it all up, to really embrace where you are and to tap into the next level of your evolution. So everything you need to know, you can find through the links in the description. So let's first talk about the stress factor. There are people, INFJs are not INFJs, who are constantly under stress. So they're not even thinking about, do I like my life? Do I feel fulfilled? Is this a life that I enjoy? And sometimes people say, well, that's actually a happy life when you don't even think about these things, right? People who are not actively thinking about their life in a way of, am I fulfilled? Am I living the life I want? Sometimes they seem to be happier than people who by default question, what is my life's purpose? Am I really on the right path? And what am I going to do in order to feel like I live an epic life? But guess what? This is not a choice. We're INFJs. We're most likely going to think about the meaning of our life. So there's no point in people telling us, oh, just stop thinking so much. Yeah, we've all heard that often enough, and we know this is not helping anybody. But if we look at it from the perspective of INFJs only, right? So you have the situation where people are stressing you out. Your circumstances are stressing you out. Maybe you have relatives who have expectations of you. Maybe you're in a toxic relationship with somebody who constantly wants your attention on them. Maybe it's your coworkers. Maybe it's your boss. If you have that kind of situation where you feel like, I actually would be bored, but I'm constantly just stressed out by the people around me, then, that is something definitely to take on. This is not something you have to do from one day to the next, but I encourage you, start with one relationship and start tidying it up. This is something we talk about a lot in bootcamp, but it is also something that you can work through with the audio guide. So let me make it very clear. When it comes to this, it is not something that you switch off from one day and then it's gone. It is a leaning into part. So start with the relationship that causes you the most stress and step by step remove that person from your life. If it is a partner and you don't want to break things off with that partner, still create some psychological distance. You can be married to a person and not be in everybody's business. It is not your task to fix another person. It is not your task to make another person's life acceptable. This is something everybody has to figure out on their own. And as INFJs, we have to understand that very often we lean into this. We lean into fixing another person. We lean into relationships that make us feel like we have to be in the reactive chair because it allows us the freedom of not having to worry about our own life. Because if you start to take action on that and slowly but surely you really create those boundaries. And remember, boundaries are not about saying, oh, stop doing this, and people then don't do this. And then you say, well, they're not respecting my boundaries. Boundaries are all about, if If you continue doing this, this is what I'm going to do. And then you actually do it. If you say you're going to do something and you don't, it is not a boundary. You have to change your behavior. So that means if you have a relative that you talk on a daily basis and they don't respect you in a way that makes you feel good, you're not calling them every day. And it might hurt you, but if you really think about it, there's no law that requires you to call your parents every day. For example, right? There are people who talk to their parents once a month or not at all. Just take this as, one particular example. So that is the one area. The other area is the boredom part, because so many INFJs are afraid of that, because it seems like if I push people away, I'm going to be alone forever. And I have been there. I know that feeling. But it is that place that we need to get comfortable with, that you would be okay, having only a couple of connections in your life, that you would be okay that so much of your space has to be able to be filled by yourself. When I changed my life around over 10 years ago, this is what happened. A lot of people left me because this new version of me was not there to make them feel good. And so there was a part of boredom that came with it. But it is not a place where we have to stay in. Because this is the second thing we all have to understand as INFJs. Everything is boring. I don't think there's one thing where I really feel like it would be long-term exciting for me to just be an add-on. Like, even if you think of something like, the music industry, or, like somewhere where people are creating art, whatever it may be. If you would just be a fly on the wall, you would just put yourself in that environment, you wouldn't add any energy, you wouldn't add anything of your own way of looking at life, I promise you this would bore you. It would either be annoying or it bores you. There is nothing where you could say, oh, I could just be there and watch this and be an observer and it will be exciting. It just doesn't exist. And the sooner we get this, the better. Because till this day, I just moved. I still don't have my office set up. So this is just a temporary thing over here. I'm in a new environment. I have to, find ways where I can fill up my life in a way that removes boredom from it, right? Because I have made it a point to not allow stress into my life. And there is nothing external that is going to be, that's going to make it exciting. No, we have to be the factor that makes it exciting while keeping all the boundaries intact in a way that makes us feel safe. So for me, starting this channel was an amazing, step, because it allowed me to do something that I love, to create excitement while making sure that I'm not helping people in a codependent way, like my closest relatives or my closest friends, where things always, get meshed up. And so you create something exciting, and it can be your purpose. It can be, part of your prosperity. It can be that you say, I want to add something to a particular place. But if you remove this notion of your head, there's something exciting out there and it just has to find me. This notion of the grass is greener on the other side doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in relationships. It doesn't exist in, a job. Maybe there are jobs that would really excite you, but the exciting part about them would be that you are the one who creates your energy within that job. So once we understand that, what do? We add things to our plate that make our life more exciting. This is not about doing something in order to reach something. No, we're doing this in order to fill our lives up. If we remove toxic relationships, you're going to have space. It's going to be this boredom aspect. And now it's on us to actually fill a space up, not with the intention of creating a result. That can be a byproduct. For example, you say, oh, I want to start working at this company because, I love their vision. Great. But you're not going there particularly because, at some point you're going to become partner, or only because of the fact that it gives you money. No, you're saying I'm adding something to my life that makes me feel more fulfilled. I added this channel to my life. In the beginning, I put money into it, and still it was something that made my life fuller. I created excitement, and it doesn't matter if other people think it's exciting or not. I think it's exciting. It's something that has kept me here doing this for over 11 years now. So guess what? Yeah, it excites me. And this is what I want to encourage you to do. Because when you start creating something that excites you, and it can be that you take on a new project at work, it can be that you become a chaperone for a cause that is important to you, it can be that you tap into your purpose, whatever it may be. If you look at it from their aspect of, I want to add something to my life, not because of some result I want to achieve, but because I want to create excitement. I'm going to thrive through boredom. Because if you don't, the alternatives are not something that most of us are happy with, which are you're either being stressed by the people around you to such an extent that you don't even become aware of what you want. You're just driven by external expectations, and there's no shame in that. We've all been there. This is the normal mode for 99.9% of all people. Or if you're able to create more distance from, the people around you who have always, demanded things of you, then many of us find ourselves in a place where we think, life is just boring. Yeah, it is, because you are the one who has to create excitement. Stop thinking there is a place that you just haven't found, that there is a group of friends that are super cool and you're just not part of them yet. No. You becoming part of that group makes it that much more exciting to you. One of the advantages of being an INFJ is that we can live in boredom. Boredom is incredibly important. There's so many people who are so afraid of not having anything going on, this typical FOMO, fear of missing out, that they're willing to do everything and anything to not stand still. But standing still is important. It is important because it allows us to actually look at life from a bird's eye view and then take action on it. Many INFJs have gotten to this place. They feel like, okay, I have removed a lot of people from my life, or I have distanced myself to them. I've been able to take a step back, but now what? I don't know what step to take. I don't know what would bring excitement into my life. And here it is important to know that excitement, motivation happens through action, not the other way around. You cannot wait to get excited about something and then take action on it. It really works the other way around. And this is the moment where I can remind you of the audio guide, of the poster on the INFJ Epic Life Formula, because that's what it's all about. Anchoring yourself into reality, into what is currently going on. Like I always like to say, what if things never got any better? What would your life be like? How can you be grateful for the life that you're currently living, in a way of what if it never got any better? If this is the kind of money I would always earn, if these are the friendships I would always have, these are the relationships, this is how I'm seen in the world, and to still find so much gratitude for that. Because then we can take it to the next level. Then we can start adding things and know that adding things to our life seems incredibly difficult. This is something we talk about in bootcamp as well when it comes to physical energy management. And you can also get the course on the 10 principles on energy mastery for an INFJ. That will help you tremendously, because we really have to come to terms with the fact that you have to put in some energy in order to create momentum. The example I always love to give is, imagine yourself on a cornfield and all your life you've gone down this one path. Now we're changing it up. We want to create something new because we know that it's going to create an easier life for us. So for example, let's say you're at a job and it's a toxic environment. People are demanding things of you. Nobody really sees you. Nobody's aware of your uniqueness, your greatness, your magic. None of that, right? Still, going to that job is something that you've gotten accustomed to. Whatever you would take on, if it would be applying for a better job, if it would be that you would move cities and start something new, everything new requires more energy in the beginning because you have to create that path. But I can promise you, it's never going to be as exhausting as it is in the beginning. Because once you've laid down this path on that cornfield, you can walk down it, and then you know that every day is going to require way less effort, or you will create so much more of an energy surplus than your old situation ever could. But it can only happen if you actively say, I'm going to create excitement for my life. I'm going to remove as much stress as possible that is not created by me. Because we all know there's positive stress, right? As in, okay, I'm excited because I have this project I want to finish, and you're not like in overload. this is the perfect momentum. Like, this is something that is good for our body. This is something that is good for our mind, but it's not going to happen if it's something that our external environment is requiring of us, particularly if it's not in alignment with who we actually are. So that being said, embrace boredom. Boredom has to be our in-between state. Boredom is the thing that's going to make you win. Because what we don't want to do is be constantly on the go without being able to reflect. But what we also don't want to do is to become bored to such an extent that we start numbing ourselves. This numbing could be scrolling through social media, it can be daydreaming, it can be gaming, it can be watching series. I'm not saying don't do anything of that. We all want to have some kind of hedonistic pleasure. There's nothing wrong about it. I love it. Like, please embrace it. But if you're doing this to such an extent that you just numb yourself from the fact that you're bored from your life, it doesn't have to be this way. Really, it doesn't. If you want a community, join us in Bootcamp. We will be there for you. You will see INFJs thriving left and right without the constant pressure. But even through the YouTube community here, my aim is to create a space for you where you know that boredom is not something to run away from. It's not something we want to fill with external obligations. And we also don't want to fill up that space too much with just numbing ourselves, with the things I just mentioned. No. We're going to add something to our life. We're going to exchange things in our life. And when we do this consciously, magic happens. I have never been a person who's been a workaholic, ever. And still, my life has continuously improved because of the choices that I make. It is not a question of luck. It is not a question of being a workaholic. There's this amazing Alex Hormozy quote that's going around that's just, funny. It's something of the notion of, slaves have been able to work every hour of every day, so why can't I? And I know where he's coming from. He's somebody, from what I've seen, who loves to work, and everybody tells him don't work so much, but he loves to do it. So why shouldn't he be able to, do this every hour of the day if this is what he wants? And people haven't always died from it, who've been slaves, for example, who had to work all the time. Great. Okay, that's not the kind of life I want. It's not the life most people want. And it's not necessary. Like, you don't have to, create $1 billion industry. You don't have to create, immense wealth. You don't have to be recognized. Like, who cares? If this is what you like, amazing, do you. What most of us want is to live a fulfilled life, an epic life, a life where oh, I know that I'm on the right path because I just enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoy the value that I bring. I enjoy the connections that I have. And if I have boredom in my life, then it is consciously chosen and it's part of the journey. And if I have stress in my life, then it's because I am actively adding it to my life. So for example, my kids cause me stress, but I've decided to have kids. I've decided how many kids I have. I've decided this is what I can take on. And this is a conscious choice. Yes, sometimes things happen and things are part of our life that are not in our choice. And that is part of reality. And, that's just something to embrace. But think of all the times when you are in situations with people who cause you stress, who don't need to be there. Think of all the times where you have numbed out boredom instead of, thriving in it and saying, what can I add to my life? Not as a means to an end, but something that's going to fill up my life. And just because it doesn't feel exciting yet, trust me, motivation and excitement happens through action. When you start investing time, when you start investing effort into something, you start creating momentum, motivation, and excitement. Remember, if you want to tap into the formula that has helped so many INFJs to turn their life around, then get the INFJ Epic Life audio guide. You can also download the free poster on the INFJ Epic Life formula. Everything you need to know you can find through links in the description. And if you want to watch a video now that is in line with today's topic, then check out the video you see on the screen right now. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.